What's up? It's time to finish this set of videos. I've so far opened Tyrus Flare, I've opened Gilius Thunderhead, and now I want to open the Dead Frame. The idea behind this is that once I have the skeletons, I can actually move on to my next photo shoot for my action figure photography. This is something that I talked about in a previous video, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, that was when I opened Gilius Thunderhead, but even before then I was already talking about wanting to get into this, and I've done a couple of shoots here and there and posted them on my Instagram and so on and so forth. Regardless, it's time to talk about the Dead Frame. So these are the skeletons that appear in Golden Axe. Not the normal skeletons, but the one with like the horse head looking things, and they also have that cool double-bladed weapon and the shield. Those skeletons specifically. And they come in a pack of 2, and I got mine for $40, and that was on Amazon. I found a vendor that was doing a pretty good deal, and it's sent to me in fantastic shape, and it's the same vendor that sent us Gilius Thunderhead, so Gilius, as far as I could tell, and has not been proved wrong, he's real. If he's real, they're real. So I made a real lucky hit here with my Storm Collectibles so far. I've really gotten lucky because these are pretty expensive buys, and if you're going to get into them, they are not an easy drop. If you're like me, you don't have crazy money, okay? You have enough to pretty much make it and then keep your stuff going, and maybe you can go out to eat every now and then or something like that. My toy budget is about $100 per paycheck for toys, if that. It normally actually doesn't come out like that. It's actually like a little less. Like this check, I bought a new Batman. He was $24, and he's the only thing that I could justify on this check. And then the next check will probably give me around $40, $50 to play with. On good months, I can usually get about 100, anywhere like 100, 120, somewhere in there. And then, of course, I'd like to save that up sometimes and not spend it so that I can guarantee a bigger item later in release. This kind of budget has made it difficult to go after Storm Collectibles, even though it's something that interests me massively. I like the idea of having bigger, better figures with a lot more detail and a lot more standout about them on the shelves. That is something that I do actually like. Every now and then it's cool to have a nostalgia buy. You buy a toy that very much is like your childhood. But for me, buying a smaller thing like the Superpowers line. We've talked about the Superpowers line, so there'll be an annotation up there to talk about the Superpowers line if you want to check those out. When I talked about Superpowers, one of the things that I mentioned is that these were toys from my childhood, and because of that, they fit a certain idea. And that certain idea was that they were figures that I loved from my childhood. Make sense? Right. Well, here's the thing. When they're not from my childhood and they hold zero nostalgia and they wouldn't really mean anything on my shelf, I don't run crazy into the Superpowers line or lines that look like them at all. Case in point, I owned a lot of G.I. Joes when I was growing up. We're talking tubs of Joes. We used to have those little tote boxes and we filled to the top with Joes. But now, even though I see those Joes, like when I go to conventions and whatnot, I don't buy them. I probably have 4 of those G.I. Joes left. At all. That's it. And I'm not in a rush to obtain more, because they don't mean anything to me. Now, a modern reinterpretation of those Joes at a much higher presentation, like classified, those I like. But I'm not necessarily jumping on the bandwagon to buy the Super 7 Joes. I just don't care. They're not the same thing for me. But I really like that Storm Collectibles is one of those things that I've looked for a very long time. First off, Storm Collectibles is handling Golden Axe. That's Barbarian-esque figures, and you know I like those. It's Golden Axe, which is something I like in general, and they are figures that are big, they look fantastic, they're highly detailed, everything about them is everything I want in figures. Sometimes it is better to save and get a definite figure. Like, you know something I've still never done? I don't have a Spider-Man on the shelf. I know that's ridiculous, but I don't. All I have on the shelf is I have the Mark Armor Spider-Man, and I have a Spider-Man that was given to me, which is it's the right after Superior Spider-Man when he was wearing like the spider armor type of thing. He was like kind of like shiny Spider-Man. That's it. That's what I got. That's all I got. I have Spider-Gwens, things of that nature, but I have not yet come across a definitive, this is the Spider-Man I need Spider-Man. But I may buy the Spider-Man Spinneret pack just to solve that, because it would be the perfect Spider-Man, the end-all be-all, the only Spider-Man I need on my shelf, Spider-Man. You get what I'm saying? This is sometimes worth it to me. You buy the one Superman that defines all the Superman that you could possibly put on your shelf. And if you're not a person that collects multiple Superman, but you want one to represent your collection of superheroes, that's where I find myself right now. I find myself in a state of mind where rather than going around and buying Marvel Legends, which is the reason I'm not into Marvel Legends, is because Marvel Legends releases constantly and always the same or mildly different or a slightly better body, and then the ones I bought are no longer the definitive version or the best version, and then I kind of buy another one. Sometimes that's not true. I still think the Rogue I have on my shelf is the best Rogue they ever released. But you get the idea. If you're a Marvel Legends fan, you've come across this many times. How many times can you buy Spider-Man and think you've got the best one? And then another one comes out, and there's some sort of mild, intricate, little bit better detail or engineering factor that makes you go, crap. And then you get that one. This happens all the time with a lot of figures, and it's also a thing that happens in that line where they constantly repaint things and reissue them and reissue them and reissue them and reissue them and reissue them. And so it becomes, and I'm a Motu fan, so I'm not coming down on reuse. I know how the toy industry works and that level. I understand it. But sometimes it's a good idea to save your money and get really powerful, like eye-gripping, bad mother characters on your shelf. And so that's kind of where my mindset has been for the last couple months, is purchasing things from Storm Collectibles and trying to get the ultimate, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate, those 4 main turtles, as well as Master Splinter and Shredder. And that's all I need. Once they're on the shelf, those are the turtles that I loved more than anything. They follow the original design of the turtles that I loved more than any other turtles. The original 1980s first toy releases are the best turtles that were ever on the market in terms of the way they looked. Everything else that ever came out was second rate to me. Everything. Literally everything. I don't know why. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but nothing ever matched that feeling that I got from the original. And that could be a nostalgia thing. But the Leonardo that I opened, I'll put the annotation up there if you want it. The Leonardo I opened, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That was fantastic. That's what I want. An ultimate finishing touch to the shelf. These are the turtles. They are awesome. They're on the shelf. I don't need to pay attention to anything else. All the other TMNT that's coming out, sure. I love TMNT. But once I have my favorite turtles on the shelf, and once they're photogenic, awesome turtles, I don't need any more. I just don't. And that is why I've been so interested in these Storm Collectible figures, is because while they're costing me more money and I'm getting less figures over time, they just seem so worth it to me. And now I'm going to put Storm Collectibles to the ultimate test here, because this one is going to be tough. These are skeletons. These are either going to be some flimsy pieces of garbage that cost a lot of money, or they're going to be some fantastic pieces of engineering that stand and move and pose and somehow support themselves on a skeleton frame. And I just can't wait to see which one of those two things I just ended up with. So let's get on, finally, to the figure. Alright, there they are. These are the skeletons. They're pretty cool. This is the dead frame. These are the guys, I want to say the first time you ever come across them in the first game, they are bosses, and then after, of course, because you know how old games used to work, after you fought them as bosses, they just started appearing as actual things that you fought in the games, and they were pretty cool. But front of the box, this is becoming somewhat of a standard. We have a type of artwork, which this I wouldn't say is necessarily an artwork. I think this might be the actual toys being photographed. So it's not quite the same as the other Storm collectible that I bought that did not quite have, you know what I'm talking about. It wasn't this idea. It was very much like a piece of artwork in the front. In fact, because she's still sitting here, remember, see, that's artwork in the front. It's not the same concept as what we're looking at right here. The side of the box shows one of the skeletons. The back shows the fact that you get two skeletons. They're both basically the exact same thing. We're not going to get anything special here. Both the skeletons that we get are both the skeletons that we get, and that's pretty cool. I don't hate that at all. This, for some reason, is a little sticker that was put onto the box, which I don't like. But since I'm not the kind of person that keeps the box, that's not going to really affect me too much here. Same idea on the side. On the top, we have the Golden Axe logo. And on the bottom, we also have the Golden Axe logo and all the information. The box is the same type of setup every time. They're not boxes that I'm super excited about. They're not boxes that I'm super keeping. Let's move on and see the figures. There we are. There's the coffin. Another one of these, which I'm happy to constantly get another one of these every time, because sooner or later I'm going to get one that I just feel is the absolute perfect, and I'm going to frame that one. And every time we buy one of these Storm Collectibles, since I seem to be getting them over and over and over again, I can guarantee that I will get more of those, and eventually I will find one that's perfect, and maybe even once I frame one, I'll find one that's even better and frame it again. But what I'm saying is that I can guaranteedly get, in the long run, the frame that I'm looking for. I love the fact that they do this. This is the way to do this. If you're going to make the coffin, don't give me a bunch of ties and other crap. You're going to make the plastic. Don't bullshit about it. Make the plastic coffin, make them fit, and don't waste a bunch of other materials to do it. If you got to put a little piece of tape, put a little piece of tape. I'm not going to cry about it. That's fine. Each one of these guys get these cool little weapons here. These things right here. They're pretty cool, actually. That paint job is really solid, just like they were for Thunderhead. Each one of them get these shields, and these shields are pretty brutal. These are nasty. They look nasty. They're all like dented and scratched, and they've definitely been used. This is the shield of a dead warrior that's been dead for a while, okay? It's really cool. It's really nice, and it's super tarnished. And they didn't just do one side of it, by the way. The other side is just the same. So there's just as much artwork and detail and articulation. Well, you know what I'm talking about. There's just as much effort put into the back of the shield that you're not even going to see as there was put into the front of the shield. And that, in its own right, is pretty impressive. So, let me move this here. We'll put the other shield here. Let me get the other weapon. There's that. And now, hands. So let me put these hands out. Let me see if I can actually get this shot so I can just show you all the hands. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away with this, but we'll know here in a second. Oh, these hands are either going to fall out or this is going to work. Oh, they fell out. They all fell out. There they go. They fell out. Crap. So, a lesson to remember from me, from Fandom with ReploidBill, is don't do that. Sometimes I'll teach you what not to do with your figures as well. Because let me tell you, when you drop skeleton hands that are about that big and that shade of gray on a gray carpet, and they fly all over the room, finding them can be a challenge, to say the very least of the matter. Let's move this light over here, get a little bit better onto the table here. Whoo, there we go. And let's continue, shall we? Man, that was stupid. Oh well. Okay, so here they are. These guys bony. Okay, nice little joint areas right here. Not hating that idea. They kind of get a good T-pose here for what it's worth, but they are kind of wild. They are slim. That's something that I was expecting. Oh wow, that's got a lot. Look at that. Holy crap. Holy crap. Okay, that's a lot of bend. That's more bend than I was expecting. Now there's a piece of styrofoam put up into the rib cage, which I'm sure that the reason for that is to keep the ribs from collapsing while they're first being kind of brought around. So we're going to reach in, we're going to get it, 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 we're going to get it. Okay, holy crap, that was a pain. So maybe have yourself a little thing of tweezers or something around for when you go to do that, because that was a bit of a pain to do. In fact, I have a little set of tweezers, actually, because I do all the Gunpla stuff. And so we're going to reach in, grab it, pull it out. There we go. And yes, for those that are wondering what that's about in general, always keep a set of tweezers in your Gunpla set, because believe it or not, you will find times when it helps a lot when you're working on something and the pieces are so unreasonably tiny. You can pinch them with the tweezers and then cut them off the pegs, and it won't fly off the peg or fall onto the ground. You can hold on to it. It helps a lot, actually. And some of those parts are small, and if they fly off, you're not finding them again. They're gone now. They're dead. They're dead to you. They're not coming back. Okay. Let's see if we can't set these guys up. Now, first off, we need shield hands. I'm guessing, because we have a whole bunch of hands here. We got pointy hands, we got open hands, we got these like openy grab hands, these kind of spooky hands, pointy hands. That's a grip hand right there of sorts. That's a grip hand right there. That's another kind of grip hand. And that's a grip hand. There we go. So, bunch of different kinds of grip hands here. 4 different kinds of grip hands. I got to figure out what I believe is for each, or if they just gave us sets of the same kind of grip hand. I think, because that looks like right there, that could be sets of the same kind of grip hand, which would make sense. So, 2 different kinds of grip hands. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a shield, and we're going to put one of them in the shield here. So there's that. We got the shield, and then we'll be able to pop that onto the arm. We got the other shield, which will do the same. Then we'll be able to pop these onto the arms, and then we'll, of course, we'll put the weapons in the other hands. So let's start with him. We're going to pop his hand off. That was very easy. I like that that's so easy. I really do. It's easy to take their limbs off their wrists, but it seems to be no problem to put them back on. This I am having trouble with though, but I wonder if that's because of the way that I'm trying to do it. So here, there, Okay, the skeletons don't have the wrists like the people do, so this is a little tougher. But there, I got it. It only took about 2 tries. We're going to slip that in there like that, and that actually wasn't that bad. So there, that's simple enough. And then we'll get that set up here. Come on, man. Shields. Something to be said about those shields that just like actually like hook on to the wrist or whatever. There is a definite plus to those things. This is a real pain in my butt. Come on. Come on. Did I pick the wrong hand for this? Or am I just having troubles in general? I don't know. There, I think I got it. There, he's got the shield. Wow, that was a real pain in the butt. Let's take this hand off and let's get the other hand here. Other gripping hand. There's that. And there's his weapon. And there, he's got his weapon. Oh my gosh, that was a pain in the butt. He's got his weapon. He's got his shield. Kind of put him in like a battle pose here. He let go of the shield. Oh, you butthole. And can we open the mouth? We can open the mouth. There. Oh, the shield is a real pain. But there, you can see how cool he is now that I got it. We just spent a long time just trying to get that to work. So keep that in mind. But they're stable. See how stable they are? Well, the shield fell off. But that's what I mean. If I'm able to hit the table like that and they're not falling over, they thought these guys out. The engineering for these guys is pretty solid. I can't complain about that part. So there. He's got his weapons. I love that that mouth opens. That's crazy. Let's take this off the shield there, because we're going to be using it. That shield is a pain. I want it, but wow, it's a pain to guarantee that the hand stays on the shield. I mean, it's a real pain. It's just the way that it is, like, because you got to get it on there, got to kind of force the fingers up here and around the shield, and then he's kind of got it. And then I don't know if that, there, he's holding it, he's got it. Wow, the skeletons are both really cool and irritating at the same time. But now you have an idea of how it works, of how it looks, of how they are, and you kind of got that feeling. So there, we got his mouth open, he's kind of like this. He's got his weapon, he's got his shield, he's cool. And so now, to end this, because we're not going to go crazy and do a bunch of other stuff, I'll figure them out. Definitely I'll get a lot more movement out of them and deal with their problems as I get a chance to do the photography with them. But let's bring down a figure with them, another Storm Collectible, something that makes sense to sit around with them. And see how these guys look together, shall we? There's him, and him, and him. There. And there's an idea for you right there. There they are. There's the skeleton. Thunderhead, they look cool. They scale very well. This was well thought out. That's cool. Very solid. Very solid. Because these are like smaller little things here as compared, because Gilius is a smaller dude. So these are small, like the skeletons are. Well, not 100%. All of a sudden I can't get there. Gilius standing up. There. Let's make him as tall as we can make him. There, that's a full standing skeleton. And actually, yeah, compared to Gilius, whatever this is like a lizard man skeleton. So we'll keep that in mind as we look at it. But I think Tyrus is a slight bigger than this. Let me check. I have Tyrus sitting over here. So let me get her off the dragon. Okay, I have Tyrus. She's looking super angry as I bring her out here to greet everybody and look mad, and she's not taking an action pose right now. So the angriness really looks almost wrong, I'd say. It's just so crazy how mad she's looking right now. But I don't think it'll matter. If I can fix this, dang. There. Okay, there's her. She stands like this. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. So, while Gilius is a smaller dude, as you could tell, she is taller than him. It's not so off-putting. I thought Gilius was way smaller than she is, so I probably should have compared this actually in the last video, but the skeletons are about right. They all match up pretty well with the figures in general. So whether she's standing there, Gilius is standing there, or I imagine Axe Battler is standing there, either way, these guys scale nice with the line in general, and everybody seems on par. These will be something that can definitely fight with one another. So if we have her in an angry stance, or like a, sword raised, or even if she's already cut, what if she's already come down on a guy, right? I don't know. Right now it's really hard to think in poses and things like that. But even if you just did something as simple as this, push the sword a little further down, kind of get her into an action pose right here. There, she's taking a stance. Her hand is up. She's mad. I can't do it right now. I can't. I'm telling you, this is so wild. Now that I want it to work, I can't get the poses I could get earlier. But you get the idea. If she's like this and she's ready to fight, and he's like this and he's ready to fight, they look solid. They work. They work well with one another. I don't see any problems in the scaling factor at all. I'm actually pretty impressed. So the skeletons are cool, though they're a bit of a pain. So there we go. That's another set of Storm Collectibles that I can add to the collection, and these ones came out pretty good. Like I said, and like you saw, there are problems with the skeletons. I expected some of these problems. They are lanky, they are thin, their balance is very good. I'm actually impressed with that. They will stand well, they will move well, they will pose well, they will fight well. Their hands seem to be a bit of a real issue. They're thin and they're bone, and each one of their individual fingers you can kind of move, but I also think that the material that the hands are made from, the shield is a bit heavy, and it does seem to cause a bit of a problem in the way that they hold things and everything, where Tyrus doesn't seem to have that problem, and of course Gilius doesn't have that problem at all. But yeah, either way, that's pretty cool. And they even have these little tail things that move around, so I didn't really talk about that, but there they are. They got those tails that kind of move out, and they're cool. They're solid figures, even if I did have some problems with them. But that's also the learning curve of every new figure you get. You have to figure out what you can get away with, what you can't, where the balance is, where you're going to have troubles. And I am finding out where I'm going to have some of their troubles. But all in all, these should make for a really terrific shoot in the medieval diorama. I'm looking forward to working with these. I think I have some ideas already, and I'll just kind of go to work. And I don't know if I'll do episodes on that stuff. I've been debating it for a while. If I come in and talk about shots that I got and whatnot. If you guys want me to do something like that where I come in and explain pictures that I took and kind of what I was going for, what I was thinking, and what I thought was my best shots, I'll do that. But as of right now, what I've just been doing is I've just been taking the pictures. I'll do a set, usually about 10 images, and then I'll post them to Instagram. And I think that's what I'm going to do with these. And then, like I said, if you guys want me to come back and talk about a little more in-depth with what I'm doing photography-wise with the stuff, then I'll start kind of making that a thing here too. But for right now, skeletons added to the shelf. They're pretty cool. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.